the most innovative and impactful technologies ever created. Since the inception of the internal combustion engine at the beginning of the 20th century, this technology has changed the way all of us live. Its promise, independence and freedom to do and go wherever you wished. Its reality is now becoming a disaster. The average American spends between 2.5 and 3 full days of their life each year sitting in their car waiting to move. $300 billion in productivity is lost each year because of traffic. We've lost more people to car accidents than we've lost in all of our wars, times a multitude that's inconceivable.
It's clear that the domination of the automobile industry is not sustainable for our cities or for our planet. But what could possibly replace cars as our primary mode of transport? The answer may be found in Helsinki, Finland, with a company called MaaS Global and their new service, Whim.
My name is Sampo Hietanen. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called MaaS Global, and we do this service called Whim. So MaaS is a movement, mobility as a service, whereas Whim is the world's first mobility as a service app.
What Whim does, it allows users to use public and private transportation to get from point A to point B in the most convenient, economical, and environmentally friendly way possible.
The Whim app is one of the new ways cities are starting to use mobility as a service. Let's follow someone as they use the app to plan their day. First, Johnny has to meet a friend for coffee. He has a variety of transportation modes to take him there. He's decided to take a car from his house to the nearest coffee shop. Done with his first errand, Johnny now has to go to his office to meet with his boss. He decides to get on the train. The app tells him where to locate the closest train station and his train's arrival time. Johnny is able to book his trip directly through the Whim app, using his phone as his ticket wherever he goes. For Johnny's last errand, he has to stop at the bank before heading home. Johnny finds a bus arriving at a stop close to him. To finish off his day, Johnny now has to pick the best way to get back home. He's going to get on an e-scooter. In the Whim app, it shows Johnny where the nearest ones are to him. There's a scooter just a half a block away. He's able to use the Whim app to scan and start the ride, finishing his journey home.
Mobility as a service, MaaS, starts definitely from the people. For the people, MaaS means being able to be free, being able to go anywhere, anytime on a whim. How do we produce that freedom? Is by using all the resources that exist, meaning public transportation, walking, biking, taxis, car shares, car rentals, e-scooters, to provide that without the car ownership.
We want to bring about this change in people's thinking by combining all the different modes of transport that a city has to offer, whether it's public transport or private modes of transport. So bringing them all together into one easy-to-use package and enabling people to have access to that instead of having to own each of those modes separately.
It is about providing easy and kind of instant, flexible access to different transport alternatives. So that is what Whim can actually provide, because we are serving customers' needs on a whim.
The reason I just got so excited because they were not offering me, instead of car, public transportation. They were offering me something that's so cool, so trendy, so that I can be proud of using it. I've grown up in a society that car ownership is attached with your identity. Of course, it gives you lots of psychological impact and stress that either you have to own a nice car to be respected, even forget about being respected, to feel like that you are right person in the world. So it's insane, I know, but this is how you've grown up. So this was till my 40, 45 age, I couldn't find an answer to that. But then as long as I heard about mobility as a service concept, I said that now world is changing.
You kind of go for the thing that car actually represents, not the car itself. For people, car is not the car. Car is our freedom. It's the insurance of freedom, being able to go anywhere, anytime on a whim. We can do better than that.
I think there will be cars in the future, but they will be used in a different way. So probably for some time still there will be also privately owned cars, but I definitely see that we are going towards a more service-based transport system, and it's not important for people to own the car, but it's important that they will have access to transport and they are able to use the car whenever they need.
We will have a system where cars also play some role in people's mobility needs, because sometimes you do need a car. But then there are so many other journeys which could be replaced by better modes of travel, which are more sustainable and which are more healthy for people and for cities. So cars will exist, but they should exist in a larger ecosystem of mobility modes, and people should be able to switch between different modes easily.
I think society in, say, Western world is really built around the automobile, but say Central Europe, Japan, etc., they're built in quite a different way around small city streets with public transportation, and in a lot of cities that is the only way how people can actually operate.
The cities need to be designed for people. And we have somehow gone off that path, and we ended up living in these cities where the streets kind of got taken over by machines, transport, and all its related infrastructure. And people kind of got sidelined onto the edges of these streets. And what we would like to see is that the cities are reclaimed by people who inhabit those places. Cities that are more equitable, so even if you can't afford a car, you can still get to where you need to be, whether it's your work, whether it's your hobbies, whether it's taking your kids to their hobbies or to school. And to do all that, we need to reimagine the whole network that a city operates in.
To understand how to fix our city's transport systems, we first need to understand how we got to a place where private car ownership became the only reliable mode of transit in most US cities. Before the rise and dominance of the automobile industry in the first half of the 20th century, people in cities relied on streetcars and other modes of transportation to get around. The rise in private car ownership in the US was in response to a post-World War II economic boom. Americans had money to invest in houses in the suburbs, necessitating a car to drive into the city for work. Soon, U.S. cities would become organized around the newly constructed interstate highway system, while other forms of public transportation were underfunded and unavailable in most places. Aside from what seems like a natural rise in the prominence of automobiles, there's more to the story. With the rise in popularity of privately owned cars, automobile and oil companies worked hard to ensure they had a monopoly on transit. In the 1930s to 50s, General Motors and several oil and petroleum companies invested heavily in buying out all the streetcar lines across U.S. cities, only to effectively put them out of service. This allowed the automobile industry to continue its path, monopolizing transit across the country by directly targeting their competition, public transportation. We can now see that the domination of cars in our city streets isn't a natural progression, but rather a strategic move to increase the wealth and power of the automobile industry by denying people access to other forms of transportation and making it increasingly difficult to get around with anything other than your own private car.
I would say that what we are trying to do is bring about a change in people's behavior. We want people to think of mobility as beyond owning a car, and we want to provide a compelling alternative to car ownership. And that's what our mission is when we talk about MaaS.
Once we can see all the demand that people have for their travel needs, and we can see on a map also all the supply that we have around, it makes it easy for people to understand that there can be something other than owning a car.
We are not competing with neither buses or car. We are competing with what they give us as an impression of owning a car.
This is the added value we can bring to this, is that all of these great services that we have, we use them to just service the people.
As you've now seen, there is a solution to this problem. If we have a movement to make mobility as a service part of our lives, we can begin to turn our society away from complete dependence on the private automobile and make it into something that is for the people to use, not the cars. We can make our cities a place where it's fun and easy to live, and where you can see friends and get from point A to point B without despoiling the environment, without being forced to sit in traffic for hours at a time. The Whim story is inspiring, new, innovative, and the future. If we don't create our own future, then we'll have nothing left to leave our children.